Well, welcome, fans of MissouriNet.com and SportsTalkSC.com. I'm Bill Pollock, Sports Director of MissouriNet, and joining us are friends from the South, Kevin McCrarey of South Carolina Radio Network. Kevin, welcome to our Columbia.
Man, I love it. On the field, 50-yard line, standing on the Tiger, getting the grand tour. I appreciate you showing me the digs.
Don't show any disrespect now to this Tiger.
I'm
All right.
not going to dance on it or anything. When it stomp up and down, no.
And he's doing it
I would
anyway.
never do that. Full respect.
All right, well, we're glad to have you, give you a short little tour of Faurot Field, and of course, Mizzou fans know all about it, and you might hear some construction going on in the background. We're finally trying to step this up to an SEC venue, so they're expanding the east end of Memorial Stadium. And, you can get over 70,000 here. You start pushing fire codes depending on how many people you get on the hill, and we'll talk about that in a moment. But, once the announcement was made that we were coming to the SEC, they started major construction renovation, and they'll have some extra suites and seats on the east end of the stadium.
Very nice. You said it holds about 70,000 now?
Yeah, you can probably push that a little bit more. I expect this game with South Carolina, it'll probably be over
them
that.
in here.
Yeah.
Shall I call the fire marshal now?
They'll be out there watching, yeah. So the field that we're on is Don Faurot Field, and Don has the most coaching wins in Mizzou history with 101. Gary Pinkel closing in on that. He just became number 2 on the all-time list. So that's who it's named after. Long history, and of course his statue is out on the north end of the pavilion here. So a lot of history with him and Dan Devine, who was number 2 on the list and just got passed up.
And Pinkel's going to catch him. I mean, it's not a matter of if, it's when. He's, 3 behind?
Yeah, he's closing in on it. So, they've got the field named after Don Faurot. The practice facility is named after Dan Devine. They're going to have to come up with something for Coach Pinkel.
The Pinkel press box or the Pinkel practice field, something with, the 2 Ps.
Well, we know how much he loves the press, so that
Pinkel Press Corps. There you go.
Absolutely. So we'll show you some of the unique features about the stadium here. We'll walk toward the north end zone, and you can see the Rock M. And this is a tradition where they have the freshmen show up before the start of the school year, and Gary Pinkel meets with all the freshmen, and they can whitewash the rocks, give them a nice, clean, fresh coat of paint, and you see kids, you'll see fans, they'll sit up on those rocks during, I don't know how comfortable it is.
Yeah, that looks like an uncomfortable seat. I saw that last week during the Florida game. The announcers were talking about who drew the short straw to sit on the rocks, but that's a privilege to sit on pointed, jagged rocks.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, if you're sitting there, I mean, that's one of the cool spots. If you've never been here or you get a chance to come multiple times, you do have to sit on the rocks once. It is pretty cool. And then another great tradition with the Rock M is at the final home game, the seniors are allowed to take a rock and then bring it with them, and they get to keep that. So last year they lost their last game, so it was kind of anticlimactic. But when they win a game, it's great because they go up, they pick up a rock, and then they walk it all the way across the field on their shoulders, and those things are pretty heavy, and they'll take them with them for the rest of their life. And they've actually, with the expansion that they're going through right now, they wanted to expand the North Pavilion. So that hill and that Rock M is actually closer to the field now, and it's really an outstanding view. It's just a unique part of Faurot Field and Memorial Stadium.
And fans sit all across the berm here?
Yeah, absolutely. It's general admission. And sometimes you'll see the kids when it starts to rain. You'll see them sliding down the hill, and it gets kind of messy at times. But you're from South Carolina, and obviously we're focusing in on the Gamecocks, but you also cover the Clemson Tigers, and they've got a rock that's somewhat special too.
Yeah,
maybe tell our Missouri. Yeah,
Howard's Rock at the top of a hill, much like this hill that Clemson runs down. Everybody's seen the infamous or famous entrance for Clemson, but infamously, there's a piece of that rock missing now this summer. Somebody decided they wanted a little piece of Howard's Rock, and they broke it off. A big brouhaha. Tiger fans were making accusations that it was Gamecock fans. It ended up being Clemson on Clemson crime, though. It was a Tiger fan and his buddy went in there and broke it off, and he's been arrested. His dad's been arrested, one of his friends. But the rock piece is still missing, so if anybody knows where that is, maybe it's over here. I'm going to look for it in a minute.
Yeah, it could have been somebody from Missouri. Now, who is Howard?
Howard, that's Frank Howard, the legendary coach at Clemson, who actually got the rock is from Death Valley, which is the name of Clemson's stadium, kind of the nickname. It's Memorial Stadium, but Death Valley. And somebody brought a piece of Howard's rock back from Death Valley, and Frank Howard said, well, put it somewhere. He didn't want it in his office. They put it at the hill, and the rest is history.
Well, there's been some famous games or infamous games that have certainly been negative for the Missouri Tigers. You may be familiar with what's known as the fifth down game when they played Colorado, 1990. They forgot to change the downs, and Colorado got an extra down, and they ended up scoring the winning touchdown. Back in 1997, it looked like Missouri was finally going to end their losing streak against Nebraska, who was a big rival at the time, going all the way to the Big Eight. A pass into the end zone gets kicked by a Nebraska, and another receiver.
I remember that game.
Yeah,
Caught it.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
that was here.
And it's
Wow.
it's here, and it's all happened in that end zone. So that north end has been some bad luck.
Something weird in those rocks over there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this is where it's going to happen on Saturdays, what you're telling me.
If something odd is going to happen, it's probably going to happen on that end of the field. Yeah, absolutely.
Good stuff. This is a neat field, and it's going to be the Gamecocks' first trip here, my first trip here, a lot of fans' first trip here. But you can tell the SEC money's starting to pour in here, and you can hear the construction going on. This is going to be a different venue 2 years when the Gamecocks come back.
Now, just to put you on the spot, and I know they've got to do some building, but your first impressions of this, how does this compare with some SEC schools?
You know, it looks nice. It is smaller than a lot of the bigger SEC stadiums, your Georgias and your Floridas and even South Carolinas. But it's nice. I mean, you can tell they've done, with the press box behind me and the outside, the brick facade and the brick around here. It's a very nice facility. And when they get this upper deck here, it'll be right there with all of them.
Well, if you're from Columbia, South Carolina, and you ever get a chance to come on up here, come here. We'll take care of you. We'll show you some hospitality, and then we're going to try to beat you. Got a big game this weekend. So
yeah, I think Steve Spurrier would like some hospitality from Gary Pinkel tomorrow, in between these two end zones.
Well, make sure you check our stuff out on Twitter. It's at Missouri Sports for myself, for Kevin.
At Sports Talk SC.
All right, so check us out, follow us, and thanks for watching here at sportstalksc.com and MissouriNet.com.